Dopamine detox is a cheat code to success. Now imagine what your life would feel like if you had done all the things that you set out to do, if you didn't procrastinate, if you didn't waste your time, and you didn't scroll, and you achieved all of your goals, right? You would be in a much, much better place than you are now. And the reason that you're not there yet right now is because your dopamine is depleted. You are simply overstimulated. That's why hard work feels hard. That's why the good habits feel hard. That's why everything you have to do to achieve success feels so boring and so stale. Now, dopamine overload is deeper than we think. It's not just scrolling. It's not just binging TV shows. Those are just the tip of the iceberg. Now, what if I told you you just needed one dopamine detox done correctly in order to reset your dopamine system so you could finally change your motivation and be motivated to pursue your goals, so that you can finally crave the hard work, crave the good habits, crave the deep work and the meditation and the exercise and the journaling and the reading. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to do a proper dopamine detox to reset your dopamine system the same way we do inside our community, Discipline OS. Now, your average person can't even focus on a simple video like this. They have to be either scrolling their phone or checking the recommended videos on the side. They have to be doing something or multitasking in some way just to focus. So if you want to be part of that top 1%, then just put this video on full screen, do nothing else, just watch this video, focus on it, and train your dopamine system. So let's get into part number 1, the dopamine trap. By the way, I know a lot of you guys have been thinking about joining Discipline OS, which is why we opened up a free trial for the next 15 members. I'll talk more about that later. Let's get into it. So for example, you wake up and then you check your phone, or you eat lunch or dinner and you're watching YouTube on the side. Or let's say you work and then you're listening to Spotify, you switch between 1,000 songs and you scroll tabs and you open a new tab, you open Gmail, and you're just checking so many different things. This is the dopamine trap. Everything is designed to distract you, is designed to steal your focus so that you don't achieve your goals. Now, what if I told you all you had to do was single task on a single object? Now, a lot of the times, even when, let's say you're writing a plan or a script, or like, let's say you're editing a video, let's say you're responding to an email, there's always something else that you are doing in that time. There's always something that you're thinking about. You're maybe thinking your mind somewhere else, or, you know, your hands on the mouse and like looking at the next tab that you're going to open, and your phone is over there in front of you. So every time it buzzes, you all of a sudden, your mind goes there and your awareness is there and you're thinking about what that person could have sent you, or who could have sent the message, or what the notification is. Now, these are all micro distractions, and micro distractions compounded over time will lead to you having a dopamine system that doesn't help you work. The problem with dopamine is that nowadays it is so easy to have yourself overstimulated. And when you're overstimulated, boredom feels painful. The hard work feels impossible, and stillness just feels weird. So the whole goal here is to make consumption feel like the enemy. Train your mind, train yourself, and train your identity to enjoy creating more than you consume. Because when you create, you're tapping into deep levels of creativity and you're not flooding your dopamine. Because the truth is, most consumption, like watching videos, whether that's long form or short form videos, are going to spike your dopamine in some certain way. Now, videos like these where I'm educating you on a certain topic, they're okay because they're long videos. They're intentional, you're sitting down watching this video. But you know, other videos like random shorts or random reels or TikToks that just have no purpose, no intention behind them, they spike your dopamine. They give you cheap dopamine hit after cheap dopamine hit after cheap dopamine hit. And they just train your brain to be rewarded by the wrong things, right? Your brain has a reward system. It is basically teaching your brain, you know, what is good, what is bad, what is going to help me, and what is going to obstruct my path. So to escape the dopamine trap, and before we go on to the dopamine detox that we're going to do together, you're going to want to identify distractions. Identify the things that are overstimulating you time and time again. Things like scrolling your phone, things like having your phone so close to you all the time. It's always in your pocket. It's always on the desk. It's always within arm's reach. Or just having this habit of opening too many tabs or checking random things. Or even when you're reading, let's say you're sitting down to read and all of a sudden something else pulls your focus away. So remove distractions, identify things that are holding your focus back, that are obstructing your dopamine system, and just remove them, optimize your environment, make things easy, make it easy to focus. And on the exact opposite end, you want to do things like reading, journaling, meditating, and all the things that train your focus, that train your dopamine to seek out proper effort and challenges. Because actually everything that you do, you're going to want to do more of. So it's like training. Every time you train, every time you go to the gym, the weights that you use get easier. Every time you do something, it gets easier. You practice more and more. So if you're practicing cheap dopamine hits, if you're practicing to be overstimulated, then you're going to get really good at that. But on the other hand, if you practice training your attention span, your long attention span, then you're also going to get good at that. And that entails reading, journaling, meditating, exercising, taking long walks in nature, talking to a friend, deep breathing, journaling, thinking about life, talking about goals, and so many other things that are just real dopamine that help you evolve, that help you become a better person. Now, identity is the key factor here, because inside Discipline OS, we don't just do the dopamine detox, but we also focus on identity, because we all know that without the right identity, everything else will fail. So I'll explain exactly what I mean in part number 2, dopamine economics. So dopamine is basically teaching your brain what matters for survival, for approval, to live a good life. So depending on what you do, your tasks, the things that you spend time doing, you are telling your brain that this is good, this is bad. You're telling your brain that this is worth pursuing and this is not worth pursuing. So to achieve success, you need to do a certain number of things. You need to spend a certain amount of time every single day working on one thing and building it up and stacking progress. And taking those daily actions, doing those things every day, and being consistent enough with the action that you were taking is crucial. But at the same time, it's gonna be so hard if your dopamine system is not in the right place. And most of the time, the reason for that is simple. You are just repeatedly rewarding yourself for the wrong thing. Cheap dopamine equals cheap identity formation. You see, dopamine and identity are very closely linked. You see, if consumption is rewarded, then you're telling your brain that our identity is a consumer. And what happens here is your baseline rises, your dopamine baseline rises, and effort starts to feel unrewarding. And hard work also feels empty because it just can't compete with spikes. You see, identity follows what you repeatedly do. If you reward yourself for effort, for going for a run, for exercise, for producing something, for working on your craft, then you are solidifying the identity of being the person who is successful, being the person who has what they want. This is an important point here. Identity follows what you repeatedly do. What you do most of the time, what you think most of the time, and how you act most of the time dictates the person that you are becoming. So if you scroll every day, you're not just scrolling, you're telling yourself, I am a person who scrolls. You are affirming that you have the identity of somebody who scrolls. So the point I'm making here is, if you try to dopamine detox, that's why dopamine detox is the last step in this video, because if you try to dopamine detox without identity, without the proper structure, then you're always going to go back to the bad habits. You are always going to relapse and go back to the same ways, and nothing's actually going to change if you dopamine detox without the right system. So the right system here consists of 2 components. Number 1 is to remove stimulation, and number 2 is to build identity at the same exact time. If you can actually do those things together successfully, then you will be able to dopamine detox, rewire your dopamine system to achieve your goals. So as soon as you understand dopamine economics, it becomes so much easier to rewire your dopamine system to actually crave hard work. And that is the end goal. It is not the success, it is not achieving your goals, it is making those things natural. You see, success should be natural. It should be natural. It should feel good to do the things you have to do. Effort should feel rewarding and pleasant. And it definitely shouldn't feel like you have to force yourself to do the right things. It shouldn't feel like you have to, gather all your willpower just to read for 20 minutes. It shouldn't feel like you need all the discipline in the world to journal, to meditate, to do deep work. And that is where the dopamine detox comes in. So part number 3, the detox. So if I told you that if you did this dopamine detox for 30 days, then you would become rich, you'd probably do it. But the thing is, most people, they don't actually complete a full dopamine detox. They don't do it properly and follow through, because they don't really see the point. They don't connect it to a greater thing. They don't really see how it is going to come and change their life. But what if I told you that I did a dopamine detox 6 months ago, and ever since then, my life has completely changed. Ever since then, I've made more money. I've been more fulfilled, more happy, more abundant. Ever since then, I've been more consistent, more disciplined, more focused than ever. And it isn't a coincidence. I took the initiative to rewire my dopamine system and do a proper dopamine detox. And that is why my life changed. And if you follow these same steps, your life will change the exact same way. You see, before, my dopamine system was completely fried. I would literally watch a movie and scroll at the same time. I would literally have my phone buzzing in front of me and the notifications, and every 2 minutes I would literally open my phone and check it. I was distracted. I'd never got real work done. And sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. And I would just spend so much time scrolling my phone. My screen time was so high, and I was just wasting my time, and I didn't feel good. At the end of the day, I was like, I have all these goals, but I'm literally not doing anything to achieve them. And that's how I was before I started to dopamine detox properly. But now after dopamine detox, I feel more centered. I feel more calm, more focused, more collected. I feel like normal life is way more enjoyable. Simple things like, morning coffee, journaling in the morning, getting to work, reading, and all these things that are good for me, they feel good as well. I don't feel like it's hard for me to sit down for 5 hours and work on one single task and complete it. I feel more intentional about my days and 1,000 other things that I could tell you about. The benefits and the rewards of dopamine detoxing are so incredible. So the way you actually dopamine detox goes like this. So you're gonna want to go to sleep. So like, let's say you go to sleep at 11 p.m. and then let's say you wake up at 8 in the morning. That's gonna be 9 hours in bed, right? 9 hours without stimulation, without a screen, without anything. Unless you somehow scroll while you are sleeping, then you are good to go. Because those 9 hours, you don't have to start from scratch. You're counting hours in which you were not stimulated, hours in which you were doing the dopamine detox. And if you ask me, the time that you were sleeping counts just as well. So if I slept at 11 and I woke up at 8, and then after you wake up at 8 a.m., you're just gonna wanna go as long as possible without doing the following things: opening your phone, scrolling, checking random notifications, getting distracted, listening to music, drinking energy drinks, or eating something that is sweet, or playing video games, going on social media. I'll put the actual list over here. If you do any one of these things, then you spiked your dopamine. So if you can go from 8 a.m. to 12 noon without doing any of these things, then you have successfully completed a fast that is 9 plus 4 hours, which is 13 hours. So let's say I go to sleep at 11 and I wake up at 8, that's 9 hours, right? And then I go all the way till 3 p.m. without touching my phone, without watching anything or entertaining myself or doing those things. Then I've successfully accomplished a 16-hour dopamine fast. So this is pretty much the dopamine detox we do inside Discipline OS. Our members all follow this protocol when they join us. And everybody's been saying that it's been so life-changing. So if you want to reclaim your life, build better habits, and change your identity, then we have a free trial that is open for the next 15 members. So click the link in the description below, watch the video over there to unlock access, and I'll see you inside. So take care, and you got this.